Hello there. Welcome to Earthly Explorer. Tonight, we begin a quiet journey into the hidden fire of our planet, the story of volcanoes. Though we often imagine them as violent and unpredictable, in truth they are some of Earth's most patient, balanced, and calming wonders. Volcanoes remind us that even the greatest powers move in slow rhythms, shaping the land gently over ages, creating beauty as often as they destroy. When we think of a volcano, we might picture an eruption, fire, ash, and clouds rising high into the sky. Yet most volcanoes spend nearly all their lives in silence. Across the Earth, more than 1,500 volcanoes are considered active, but at any given time only a handful stir. The rest sleep beneath forests, snow, and skies, their slopes peaceful, their presence steady. These mountains are not just forces of destruction. They are landscapes of calm, waiting for centuries before showing their power again. One soothing truth about volcanoes is that they are everywhere, yet often unseen. Many lie far beneath the oceans, hidden in darkness where they build new seafloor quietly, crust by crust, stone by stone. These underwater volcanoes erupt not with violence, but with steady patience, adding to the earth in silence. Together, they form a great mid-ocean ridge, the longest mountain chain in the world, stretching across the globe like a scar of creation. We rarely think of it, yet it is always there, calm, unhurried, eternal. On land, volcanoes create shapes that are almost meditative in their symmetry. Think of Mount Fuji in Japan, its cone rising perfectly against the sky, or the Hawaiian shield volcanoes, spreading wide and low like slow waves of stone. These forms are not accidents. They are the product of lava's thickness, gravity's pull, and time's quiet patience. To look at them is to see order in nature, balance carved from fire. Volcanoes also remind us of the cycles that govern Earth. They rise, they erupt, they erode, and they grow again. Even their eruptions are part of a rhythm, beginning deep underground where molten rock or magma gathers slowly. Pressure builds, gases accumulate, and only after years or even centuries does the mountain awaken. Between these rare awakenings, volcanoes rest. Forests grow on their slopes, animals wander their ridges, snow falls and melts in streams. Their long silences are far greater than their fiery moments, a reminder that peace is the rule, not the exception. The lands around volcanoes are among the most fertile in the world. Ash and lava, once cooled and broken down, create rich soil filled with minerals. For thousands of years, humans have farmed in their shadows, growing rice in Indonesia, grapes on the slopes of Vesuvius, and coffee on volcanic soil in Central America. This quiet generosity is part of the volcanic cycle. What was once fire becomes nourishment, what was once eruption becomes renewal. And volcanoes shape water as well as land. When their craters collapse, they often form deep, calm lakes. Crater Lake in Oregon is one of the clearest and calmest bodies of water on Earth, its blue surface like a mirror of the sky. These lakes are reminders that fire can give way to stillness, that a place of eruption can become a sanctuary of reflection. In Iceland, hot springs heated by volcanic energy bubble gently, bringing warmth to cold landscapes. Even in their rest, volcanoes share comfort. Another quiet truth lies in the skies they paint. When fine ash reaches the upper atmosphere, it scatters sunlight into brilliant colors. 4 months or even years after eruptions, sunsets glow in deeper reds and purples. Painters of the past, like Turner in the 1800s, captured skies made vivid by distant eruptions they never saw. These skies, though born of fire, became canvases of peace, light softened by particles drifting high above. Volcanoes also connect us to time itself. Some, like Stromboli in Italy, have erupted for thousands of years in small, regular bursts, so steady that sailors once called it the lighthouse of the Mediterranean. Others, like Yellowstone in the United States, have remained silent for hundreds of thousands of years, their vast calderas now covered in forests and meadows. To stand near them is to feel the depth of Earth's history, the patience of cycles too long for human memory, yet steady and true. And beneath it all lies the fire of the planet's heart. Volcanoes are windows into Earth's interior, places where the mantle breathes out, releasing heat that has been stored since the planet's birth. They are reminders that the Earth is not inert, but alive, still shaping itself, still changing. Yet this change is slow, measured, and calm across the scale of time. What feels to us like eruption is, to the Earth, just a heartbeat in its endless rhythm. As we begin this journey, let the thought of volcanoes bring not fear, but rest. They are mountains of patience, guardians of soil and water, painters of skies, shapers of islands and ridges. Their silence lasts centuries, their eruptions only moments. They are not only symbols of fire, but also of balance, of renewal, of timeless calm. And if you are enjoying this gentle exploration with Earthly Explorer, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, so you can continue drifting with us through the most relaxing wonders of our world. Most volcanoes rest where Earth's great plates meet, their roots deep in the shifting crust. The Pacific's Ring of Fire holds the largest chain, circling nearly the entire ocean, a necklace of peaks and islands bound together by slow movement. From Chile to Alaska, from Japan to New Zealand, these volcanoes stand quietly most of the time, their slopes green with forests and fields, their summits wrapped in clouds. The image of constant eruption is a myth. Their reality is patient stillness, centuries of calm interrupted only by rare awakenings. But volcanoes are not limited to the edges of continents. Some rise from the middle of plates, fed by steady plumes of heat rising from Earth's mantle. These are known as hotspots, and they create chains of islands over time as the crust drifts above them. The Hawaiian Islands are a living example, each one born from lava that cooled into land, each one now lush with rainforests, waterfalls, and quiet beaches. To walk their shores is to tread upon fire that has long since settled into peace. The oceans themselves hide more volcanoes than the land. Along the mid-ocean ridges, thousands of undersea vents build new crust every year. These ridges stretch over 40,000 miles, forming the longest mountain range on Earth, yet they do their work unseen beneath miles of water. Their eruptions are slow, their lava cooled instantly by the sea, their mountains built grain by grain. The ocean floor is calm testimony to creation at its most patient. Some volcanoes are vast enough to reshape entire landscapes, yet they seldom stir. Yellowstone in North America, Toba in Indonesia, Taupo in New Zealand, all are what scientists call supervolcanoes. Their craters are not sharp peaks but wide calderas, often filled with lakes, forests, or meadows. They sleep for tens of thousands of years, their only signs of life the steaming hot springs and geysers that bubble at the surface. To wander across Yellowstone's terraces, where mineral pools shimmer in blue and gold, is to feel the earth breathing slowly beneath your feet, not in violence but in warmth. Volcanoes also rise beyond Earth. On Mars, Olympus Mons towers higher than any mountain we know, nearly 3 times the height of Everest. Its slopes stretch so wide they would cover an entire country, yet it has been silent for millions of years, resting beneath the thin Martian sky. On Jupiter's moon Io, volcanoes erupt frequently, but from the distance of space, their plumes appear as faint glows, more like sparks against a dark canvas than storms. Even in the far reaches of the solar system, volcanoes remind us that creation and calm are linked. On our own planet, they shape islands that become sanctuaries of life. Indonesia, the Philippines, and the Caribbean are all volcanic chains, born from fire yet now filled with rivers, forests, and people. The soil is rich, the valleys fertile, the slopes alive with crops. What begins as fire becomes nourishment. What rises in destruction ends in renewal. From the same heat come hot springs and geysers, gentle gifts of comfort. In Iceland, pools warmed by volcanic energy steam in the cold air, their waters soothing to the skin. In Japan, onsen baths draw on these same forces, turning volcanic heat into places of rest. Even the fire deep inside the planet finds ways to share warmth quietly, not with eruption but with healing. Volcanoes connect us to the Earth's inner life. They are not random but expressions of a planet still alive, still shifting, still shaping itself. To us, an eruption seems sudden, but to the Earth it is only a slow heartbeat, one in a rhythm billions of years long. They remind us that beneath our feet lies constant motion, patient and enduring, a reminder that change is always part of life's calm design. And as we drift deeper into their story, the next truth emerges. Volcanoes are not all alike. Some rise in sharp cones, others spread wide and low, each shaped by the kind of lava they carry and the way it flows. Their forms are as varied as their rhythms, each one an expression of balance between fire and stone. In their shapes we see symmetry, geometry, and harmony, the quiet mathematics of Earth at work. Volcanoes may all share the same fiery heart, but their forms reveal different personalities. Each type tells its own story, shaped by the thickness of its lava, the pace of its eruptions, and the patience of time. To see them is to watch Earth's mathematics drawn across landscapes, where balance and rhythm create mountains of fire that are also mountains of peace. One of the most graceful forms is the stratovolcano. These tall, symmetrical peaks rise like pyramids into the sky, their slopes steep and elegant. Mount Fuji in Japan is perhaps the most famous, a perfect cone, snow-capped and serene, standing as a symbol of harmony. Though Fuji was built by eruptions, today it rests quietly, its form admired by millions, painted, worshipped, and celebrated. Other stratovolcanoes, such as Mount Rainier in the United States or Mount Etna in Italy, also stand with the same poise. Their steep sides come from thicker lava that cools quickly, stacking layers of rock into towering shapes. To gaze upon one is to see patience written in stone, geometry born of fire yet carried in silence. Another form is the shield volcano, wide and low, spreading gently across the land. The Hawaiian volcanoes are the finest examples, Mauna Loa, Mauna Kea, and Kilauea. Their lava is thin and fluid, flowing easily, spreading over miles without rushing. Over time, these flows build vast shields of rock, their slopes so gradual that one hardly notices the climb. Mauna Loa, the largest volcano on Earth, covers nearly half of Hawaii's Big Island, yet its rise is so gentle it feels more like a hill than a mountain. Shield volcanoes remind us that power does not need height or sharpness. Calm breadth can be just as immense. Then there are the cinder cone volcanoes, small and simple, built from fragments of lava that fell back around their vents. They are often steep, their slopes made of dark, loose stones. Sunset Crater in Arizona is one such volcano, quiet now, its cone covered in pines and wildflowers. Though small, cinder cones appear often, short-lived compared to their larger siblings. They remind us of life's fleeting beauty, that even temporary bursts leave behind quiet landscapes. Some volcanoes take on shapes even stranger. Calderas, for instance, are wide, sunken craters formed when a volcano collapses inward after an eruption. They may stretch for miles, their basins filled with water, forests, or meadows. Crater Lake in Oregon is one of the most beautiful, a vast, still pool of blue water surrounded by cliffs. From fire came a place of reflection, a mirror of sky resting in what was once a mountain. Calderas remind us that endings can be transformations, creating spaces of calm where once there was flame. Volcanoes can also form underwater, building new islands from the seafloor. Over years, these peaks may rise above the waves, forming land where none existed before. The island of Surtsey off Iceland appeared in the 1960s during an eruption, but today it is a quiet sanctuary for seabirds and mosses. Watching such islands emerge reminds us that Earth is still growing, still creating, still offering new places of rest. Each type of volcano shapes not only the land but also the life around it. Stratovolcanoes create fertile valleys at their feet, shield volcanoes give rise to broad islands, cinder cones scatter soils rich with minerals, and calderas offer lakes and forests. Even in their variety, the pattern is the same. From fire comes renewal, from eruption comes balance. Scientists classify volcanoes into these types to understand their behavior, but to us they are reminders of nature's patience. Their forms are not random. They are born of chemistry, physics, and time, lava cooling, layers building, slopes adjusting until they reach balance. Each one is a sculpture of Earth's deep processes, carved not in haste but over ages. To reflect on them is to see order in nature, a quiet mathematics unfolding across the world. And beyond their types, each volcano carries its own character. Some, like Stromboli in Italy, release gentle bursts almost daily, a rhythm so steady it has been called the lighthouse of the Mediterranean. Others, like Fuji, sleep for centuries, their peaks still and silent. Some rise tall into the clouds, others spread wide across oceans, but all follow the same patient rules. The variety of volcanoes teaches us a larger truth, that balance can take many forms. Some are sharp, others wide, some are brief, others eternal. Yet all are expressions of the same earth, the same mantle, the same breath of fire. In their diversity lies a deeper harmony, showing us that calm can exist in many shapes, many rhythms, many scales. And as we move further into their story, we begin to see not only their forms but their connection to people. Volcanoes have been part of human lives for as long as there have been stories. They are gods in myth, guardians of soil, sources of fear and wonder. To live in their shadow is to accept their rhythm, to find calm in their long silences, to build life upon their fertile gifts. From their forms, we turn next to their place in our histories, the ways we have walked with them for thousands of years. For as long as people have looked to the mountains, volcanoes have been part of our stories. Their presence is too striking to ignore. Peaks that rise higher than the clouds, slopes that glow with fire, valleys that echo with warmth. Long before science explained their origins, people gave them meaning, weaving them into myths, prayers, and daily life. And through those stories, volcanoes became more than mountains of stone. They became companions, protectors, and reminders of powers beyond human control. In Japan, Mount Fuji has long been sacred. Its perfect form has inspired poetry, paintings, and pilgrimages for centuries. To climb its slopes is not only a physical journey but a spiritual one, a chance to feel close to the heavens. Even while resting quietly, Fuji's presence has given calm to countless lives, a reminder of beauty and order in the world. In Hawaii, volcanoes are linked to Pele, the goddess of fire and creation. Her home is said to be Halemaumau crater within Kilauea, and for generations people have left offerings to her spirit. The lava flows, though powerful, are also seen as gifts, creating new land that expands the islands. To the Hawaiian people, Pele is not destruction but renewal, a living force shaping their world with patience. Stories of volcanoes appear across cultures. In ancient Rome, the name Vulcan was given to the god of fire, his forge imagined beneath volcanoes like Vesuvius. The word volcano itself carries his name. In the Andes, volcanoes were sacred to the Inca, their peaks seen as guardians of the valleys below. In Indonesia, ceremonies are still held to honor Mount Merapi, with offerings given to ensure peace. In each place, people learned to see volcanoes not as enemies but as powers to respect, forces that could become companions as much as fiery ones. But myths were not the only way humans connected with volcanoes. Their slopes offered soil rich for farming, and people soon learned that life flourished in their shadows. The vineyards near Vesuvius, the rice fields of Indonesia, the coffee plantations of Central America, all owe their abundance to ancient eruptions. Volcanic ash, once fire, becomes nourishment, and the cycle repeats endlessly. To live near a volcano is to accept both its gifts and its risks, to find balance in its long silences and fertile soils. Even in their rare eruptions, volcanoes have shaped human history. Pompeii, buried in ash by Vesuvius, has given us a preserved picture of Roman life, frozen in time. The people who lived there built homes, gardens, and theaters at the volcano's base, trusting its long quiet more than fearing its hidden fire. Their lives remind us that calm years outnumber fiery days, that life can thrive beside mountains of flame. Volcanoes also inspired awe in explorers and scientists. In the 19th century, naturalists traveled to study their shapes, their rocks, their eruptions. They found patterns, rhythms, and clues to Earth's hidden processes. From these studies came geology itself, the science of the Earth born from the observation of volcanoes. To look at a volcano is to look at a library of stone, each layer a page written in fire, each slope a record of Earth's patience. And even today people continue to live near volcanoes. Cities like Naples in Italy, Quito in Ecuador, and Arequipa in Peru sit in their shadows, daily life unfolding calmly beside these peaks. The reason is simple: the land is rich, the water flows, the climate is kind. The presence of fire beneath does not erase the peace above. To walk through such places is to feel humanity's quiet acceptance of nature's rhythm, a trust that life and fire can coexist. In art and culture, volcanoes have become symbols of strength, passion, and endurance. Painters captured their slopes against glowing skies, poets described their quiet dignity, musicians wove their power into songs. Yet more often than not, they were seen as patient giants, resting more than raging, offering inspiration rather than fear. The calm of a snow-capped cone, the serenity of a crater lake, the balance of a volcanic island. All of these have entered human imagination as images of beauty. What unites all these stories is the recognition that volcanoes, though fiery at times, are steady presences in the world. Their eruptions may capture attention, but their long silences are what shape human life. People have prayed to them, painted them, farmed their soils, bathed in their springs, and told their stories across centuries. They are not only geological features but cultural companions, woven into human memory as guardians of time. As we move further into their story, the connection between volcanoes and life grows even deeper. Beneath their forms and myths lies their true heart: the slow rise of magma, the patient flow of lava, the gentle shaping of landscapes over time. To understand them fully, we must look beneath their surfaces, into the deep rhythms of the earth that create them. Beneath every volcano lies a story deeper than stone, a story of magma, pressure, and the earth's hidden heartbeat. What rises to the surface as lava begins far below, in the mantle where heat has been stored since the planet's birth. To understand volcanoes is to see how slowly, how patiently, the earth builds its fire before releasing it. Their eruptions, rare and brief, are simply the visible tips of a process that moves endlessly in silence. The mantle is not fully molten, but within it lie pockets where rock melts under heat and pressure, forming magma. This magma is lighter than the rock around it, and so it begins to rise, slowly and steadily, like a bubble drifting upward in water. The journey can take thousands of years, moving through cracks, collecting in chambers, resting and waiting. It does not hurry. Magma is patient, its motion guided only by gravity and time. When magma gathers in chambers beneath volcanoes, it sits quietly, often for centuries. Gases build within it, dissolved under pressure, but still it rests. Only when enough pressure accumulates does it begin to move again, rising through vents toward the surface. Even then, the process is slow, measured, guided by the physics of heat and stone. To think of magma is to picture Earth breathing in long, deep cycles. Inhaling, exhaling, each breath lasting thousands of years. The kind of lava that emerges depends on the chemistry of the magma. Thin, basaltic lava flows easily, spreading wide like water across the land. It builds gentle shield volcanoes, creating slopes so gradual one hardly notices the climb. Thicker, silica-rich lava moves slowly, piling up near the vent, forming steep stratovolcanoes. Each composition shapes a different form, a different rhythm of eruption. Yet both follow the same patient laws, sculpting the land in harmony with their nature. And the eruptions themselves, though dramatic in appearance, are often part of a long rhythm. Stromboli in Italy, for example, has erupted gently for centuries, sending small bursts of lava into the air at regular intervals. Its glow can be seen at night from the sea, a steady pulse that sailors once called the lighthouse of the Mediterranean. Far from chaos, it is a rhythm of calm, a reminder that even fire can keep steady time. Other volcanoes express themselves with flows rather than blasts. In Hawaii, lava streams move slowly down slopes, glowing red against the dark, advancing inch by inch toward the sea. From a distance, they look like rivers of light, quiet and unhurried. The land they cover will, in time, cool into stone, becoming soil for forests and fields. To watch such a flow is to see creation unfolding, not with violence but with patience. Pressure and gas can create explosions, but even these follow patterns. Ash clouds rise in columns, drifting into the atmosphere where winds scatter them across continents. Though the eruption may last hours, its ash can circle the globe, softening sunsets and cooling the air for months. The scale of time is always longer than the moment, reminding us that even what feels sudden is part of an older, slower story. The tectonic plates themselves, moving only inches per year, are the engines behind these cycles. Where plates collide, one sinks beneath another, melting into magma that rises again. Where plates pull apart, magma wells upward to fill the gap. This slow dance of continents, unseen in daily life, is the reason volcanoes exist at all. They are not random. They are inevitable expressions of Earth's deep motions, signs of a planet still alive. Even dormant volcanoes, those that have not erupted for centuries, are part of this rhythm. They may seem silent, their slopes covered with forests, their craters filled with lakes. Yet beneath, the mantle continues to shift, magma continues to rise and fall, gases continue to move. Dormancy is not death but pause, the long inhale before the next breath. Extinct volcanoes, too, though never expected to erupt again, remain part of the landscape, their forms softened by erosion, their soils rich with memory. When we see a volcano as only an eruption, we miss the greater truth. They are not sudden events, but slow stories written across millennia. Each eruption is a moment in a cycle, a brief flash in a long calm rhythm. The fire we see at the surface is only the smallest expression of the Earth's deep, patient breath. And as we drift further, another question arises. What happens after fire fades? How do landscapes recover? What becomes of valleys covered in ash, or slopes cooled into black stone? The answer lies in renewal, forests growing, soils enriching, life returning with patience. To see the aftermath of a volcano is to see the resilience of the Earth, its ability to turn fire into calm beauty once again. Volcanoes are often described as active, dormant, or extinct, but these labels only hint at the deeper truth. Volcanoes live on timescales far longer than our own. What seems quiet to us may only be a pause in their rhythm, a silence that lasts centuries but is, in geologic time, only a breath. To understand these categories is to see how patience defines a volcano's life. An active volcano is one that has erupted in recent history, usually within the last few thousand years, and still holds the potential to erupt again. Many of these are found along the Pacific Ring of Fire, glowing occasionally with fresh lava or clouds of ash. Kilauea in Hawaii is one of the most active, yet its activity often comes in the form of slow, steady flows rather than explosions. For decades, lava streamed from its vents in quiet rivers, creating new land and extending the island into the sea. Far from chaotic, it was a calm, ongoing transformation. Dormant volcanoes, on the other hand, have not erupted in a long time but are not considered extinct. They sleep, sometimes for hundreds or even thousands of years, their slopes green with forests, their craters filled with lakes. Mount Fuji in Japan is a perfect example. Its last eruption was in 1707, yet it stands as a quiet guardian, admired daily by millions. To look at it is to see a mountain at rest, carrying within it the memory of fire but choosing silence for now. Extinct volcanoes are those believed never to erupt again. Their roots are no longer fed by magma, their vents long cooled. Yet even in their stillness they remain part of the story. The Edinburgh Castle in Scotland, for example, sits atop the remnants of an ancient volcano that last erupted 350 million years ago. Today it is not a place of fire but of history, a reminder that even mountains of flame can become foundations of peace. But these categories, though useful, are human attempts to measure forces beyond our timescale. A volcano considered dormant today may erupt centuries from now. One thought extinct may surprise us with new life. The Earth's patience is greater than ours, and its cycles move on rhythms we can only glimpse. What feels final to us is often only transition. Volcanoes also show us patience through their recovery. After an eruption, landscapes may seem barren, covered in ash and stone. Yet soon life begins to return. Grasses push through cracks, moss spreads across lava flows, trees take root in the enriched soil. Animals return, waters flow again, and balance is restored. This renewal is not rushed, but it is steady. It is a reminder that silence and growth follow fire, that every eruption is only one chapter in a longer calm story. In Iceland, volcanic eruptions have reshaped the land many times, yet meadows and forests always return. In Indonesia, farmers cultivate rice on the slopes of mountains that once erupted with fury. In Italy, vineyards thrive in soils enriched by ash from Vesuvius. Everywhere, life learns to walk with volcanoes, trusting their long silences more than fearing their rare awakenings. The pattern is always the same: eruption, rest, renewal, and silence once more. Even in places where volcanoes have been quiet for ages, their presence shapes the land. The Canary Islands, the Azores, and the Galapagos are all volcanic chains, their peaks now covered with life. The people who live there walk daily on stone born of fire, yet to them it is not threatening. It is simply the ground beneath their feet, calm and enduring. These islands are reminders that fire, once settled, becomes part of the foundation for peace. Volcanoes also remind us of the patience of Earth's core. Heat rises constantly from the mantle, but it does not always reach the surface. Sometimes it remains deep below, stored for ages, its presence unseen. The eruptions we witness are rare expressions of this deeper energy, brief exhalations from a planet that spends most of its life in silence. To reflect on this is to see Earth as a living being, its rhythms measured not in years but in ages. The classification of volcanoes, active, dormant, extinct, is, in the end, less important than their message. They show us that time is long, that silence is more enduring than sound, and that even the fiercest powers are patient at heart. When we look at a volcano, whether glowing with lava or covered in snow, we are seeing one moment in a story that spans millions of years. That story is not one of chaos, but of balance, cycles, and calm renewal. And from here, the story turns deeper still, into the gifts volcanoes leave behind. Their soils, their springs, their stones, and their skies all carry beauty shaped by fire but softened by time. To explore these gifts is to see how volcanoes, even in their rare moments of eruption, become creators of peace in the long view of the Earth. From the patience of their cycles, volcanoes turn to generosity, offering gifts that last long after fire has faded. Though eruptions may seem sudden, the landscapes they leave behind carry beauty, nourishment, and quiet wonder. To look at the legacy of volcanoes is to see how Earth transforms fire into balance, turning destruction into calm renewal. One of the most soothing gifts of volcanoes is their soil. Volcanic ash, once cooled and weathered, breaks down into minerals rich with nutrients. Over time, these soils become some of the most fertile on Earth. Farmers have known this for centuries, cultivating crops in the shadows of mountains that once roared with fire. The rice terraces of Indonesia, the vineyards of Italy, the coffee plantations of Central America, all flourish in volcanic earth. To walk across such fields is to see life drawn from stone, proof that renewal always follows flame. Volcanoes also create forests where none existed before. As lava cools, cracks appear, mosses take root, and in time trees rise. Birds return, animals follow, and an ecosystem forms upon rock that was once molten. The island of Surtsey in Iceland, born from an eruption in the 1960s, was at first barren stone, but within decades plants grew, seabirds nested, and life took hold. From fire came a sanctuary, silent but thriving. Another calming gift is obsidian, the glassy rock formed when lava cools quickly. Dark and smooth, it has been prized for thousands of years. Ancient peoples used it for tools and ornaments. Its surface is sharp yet beautiful, its texture reflective and deep. To hold a piece of obsidian is to hold fire transformed into stillness, a frozen moment of Earth's breath. Pumice, another volcanic stone, offers a gentler story. Light enough to float, filled with tiny bubbles, it is the result of frothy lava cooling into porous rock. Pumice has been used for cleaning, for building, even for soothing skin. Its very nature is calming, airy, delicate, a reminder that fire can solidify into lightness. To see pumice floating on water is to see balance between heaviness and calm release. Volcanoes also gift the world with hot springs, places where water heated by underground fire rises to the surface. These pools are warm, often rich with minerals, their steam drifting into cool air. In Iceland, such springs provide comfort in harsh winters. In Japan, onsen baths fed by volcanic heat have long been places of rest and reflection. To sit in such waters is to feel the Earth's warmth directly, not as eruption but as embrace. Geysers, too, are expressions of volcanic energy, but in gentle bursts. Water trapped underground is heated by magma, building pressure until it erupts in a fountain of steam and spray. Old Faithful in Yellowstone has erupted for centuries, its rhythm steady, its plume rising in silence against the sky. Far from chaotic, geysers remind us that even pressure, when released, can follow a pattern, a dependable rhythm that soothes rather than alarms. The gases released by volcanoes also carry quiet benefits. Carbon dioxide and water vapor, though invisible, are essential parts of Earth's atmosphere. Over billions of years, volcanic emissions have shaped the climate, creating the air we breathe. Even in their exhalations, volcanoes are life-givers, their deep breath sustaining the balance of the world. Volcanoes paint the skies with beauty as well. After eruptions, fine particles drift into the upper atmosphere, scattering sunlight into red and purple hues. For months, sunsets glow more vividly, dawns become softer, and the skies turn into natural paintings. In 1815, after the eruption of Tambora in Indonesia, sunsets around the world inspired painters and poets, their colors more luminous than ever before. Though the eruption was fierce, its gift was light softened into calm beauty. And then there are the lakes that form in craters and calderas. These pools of still water rest in the hollows left by eruptions, their surfaces smooth as glass. Crater Lake in Oregon is one of the most famous, its deep blue waters reflecting sky and stars. Such lakes are symbols of peace, born from collapse but transformed into places of reflection. To sit by their shores is to feel the silence of time, the calm of fire turned to water. Every gift of a volcano is a reminder that power and peace are bound together. Fire creates soil for forests, stone for tools, bubbles for pumice, warmth for springs, color for skies, and silence for lakes. Each transformation is patient, unfolding across years and centuries, turning eruption into balance. Volcanoes do not simply destroy, they create, nourish, and soothe. And as we see the gifts left on Earth, the story expands beyond our planet. Volcanoes exist across the solar system, shaping moons, planets, and distant worlds. Their gifts are not only ours but universal, proof that creation through fire is a cosmic rhythm. From Earth to Mars, from Io to distant exoplanets, volcanoes breathe out heat and leave behind forms of calm. To follow their story outward is to see the universe itself as a place where fire and peace coexist. When we look beneath the waves, we find that most of Earth's volcanoes are hidden from sight. The ocean floor is alive with quiet fire, shaping the planet in silence. These underwater eruptions are not violent spectacles but steady acts of creation, forming mountains, ridges, and islands without ever breaking the surface. To imagine the seafloor is to picture a landscape as vast as any continent, built slowly by fire that no one ever sees. Along the mid-ocean ridges, volcanoes work continuously. These ridges stretch for more than 40,000 miles, circling the globe like a seam. Here, tectonic plates drift apart, and magma rises gently to fill the gaps. Lava cools almost instantly in the cold seawater, creating new crust, grain by grain, year by year. Over millions of years, this process has built an undersea mountain chain taller and longer than any found on land. It is Earth's quietest architecture, an endless construction site in the dark. Sometimes, these submarine volcanoes build mountains high enough to breach the ocean's surface. The Hawaiian Islands began this way, as did Iceland, both born from undersea eruptions that slowly rose above the waves. Even now, new islands are forming. In 1963, Surtsey appeared off the coast of Iceland, erupting from the sea and growing into land that scientists have studied ever since. Today, it is a quiet sanctuary for seabirds, mosses, and life-reclaiming stone. To watch an island form is to witness creation unfolding before our eyes, fire giving way to calm shores. Not all submarine eruptions create land. Many remain hidden, their presence revealed only by plumes of heated water rising from the depths. These hydrothermal vents are more than geological features. They are cradles of life. Around them, unique ecosystems thrive, with organisms that live on chemicals from the earth rather than sunlight. In the darkest depths of the sea, volcanoes have created havens of life, glowing faintly with heat, sustaining creatures that remind us of the planet's quiet resilience. Beyond Earth, volcanoes tell even greater stories. On Mars, Olympus Mons rises nearly 3 times taller than Mount Everest, its slopes so broad that they cover an area the size of a small country. Though it has not erupted for millions of years, its size speaks of long patience. Lava flowing slowly, spreading widely, building a mountain that reaches into the sky. It stands as a monument to volcanic endurance, a peak of calm now resting under the thin Martian air. On Jupiter's moon Io, volcanoes are active even today. Plumes of sulfur rise hundreds of miles high, glowing against the blackness of space. From afar, they appear as gentle bursts, like glowing candles on a distant world. Io's surface is constantly reshaped, its plains colored in yellows and reds, a canvas painted by fire. Though alien, its volcanoes follow the same rhythm as Earth's. Magma rising, pressure releasing, landscapes reshaped. Fire, it seems, is a universal language of creation. Even the icy moons carry secrets of volcanism. On Enceladus, a moon of Saturn, geysers of water erupt from cracks in its frozen crust. These cryovolcanoes release not molten rock but plumes of ice and vapor, which fall back like snow, covering the moon in fresh white. Beneath the ice, an ocean may hide, warmed by volcanic heat. To imagine Enceladus is to picture silence, a frozen world glowing faintly, its volcanoes whispering with snow instead of fire. On distant exoplanets, scientists believe volcanoes are common. Some worlds may be covered in fiery plains, others in icy eruptions, their surfaces shaped by heat rising from within. Though we cannot see them directly, their presence is inferred from the way planets wobble, glow, or breathe gases into space. The story of volcanoes, then, is not only Earth's but the universe's. Wherever planets form, fire rises, shaping landscapes, creating soils, carving craters, and leaving behind calm once more. The thought of volcanoes across the cosmos is strangely comforting. They are not rare quirks but universal expressions of planetary life. Just as stars shine and rivers flow, volcanoes erupt, rest, and renew. On Earth they build islands, enrich soils, and warm springs. On other worlds they build mountains higher than Everest, send plumes into space, or release oceans from ice. Their variety is vast, yet their rhythm is familiar. Fire followed by calm, eruption followed by silence. And as we return our gaze to Earth, we see how these hidden and distant volcanoes connect with our own. The underwater ridges building new seafloor, the islands rising from the ocean, the vents feeding life in the dark, all remind us that fire works quietly, patiently, always shaping without haste. The planets and moons beyond remind us that our world is not alone, that the same rhythms flow everywhere. To reflect on volcanoes is to feel part of a greater whole, connected by fire, silence, and renewal. From here, the story turns again to Earth's skies. 4 volcanoes shape not only the land and seas, but also the air above us. Their breath drifts into the atmosphere, softening sunsets, cooling climates, and painting horizons in colors of peace. To follow their influence into the skies is to see how even ash becomes light, and how Earth's fiery breath reaches into the heavens with beauty. When volcanoes breathe, their influence reaches far beyond stone and soil. The skies themselves carry their touch as ash and gases drift upward, scattering light and shaping climates. To see the air through volcanic eyes is to see how even the faintest particles can soften the world above, painting horizons and cooling the earth with quiet patience. Ash, fine as dust, can rise miles into the atmosphere during an eruption. Though its source is fire, its effect is often beauty. The particles scatter sunlight, bending it into shades of red, purple, and gold. After great eruptions, sunsets become more vivid, glowing with colors that linger long after the sun dips below the horizon. Painters of centuries past unknowingly captured these volcanic skies, their canvases filled with hues gifted by ash drifting invisibly above. To watch such a sunset is to see fire transformed into light, chaos turned into calm reflection. Some eruptions release sulfur gases, which combine with water in the atmosphere to form tiny droplets. These droplets reflect sunlight, spreading it gently across the sky. The result is a cooling effect, lowering global temperatures by a fraction of a degree. It is subtle, barely felt in a day, but across months and years it becomes noticeable. After Tambora erupted in 1815, the following year was known as the Year Without a Summer, with cooler climates and strange harvests across the world. Though disruptive to people at the time, the lesson is clear. Even in their fury, volcanoes remind us of Earth's delicate balance, their breath adjusting the climate with soft precision. But most volcanic breaths are far smaller, their gases drifting upward in silence, unnoticed except by those who study the skies. Carbon dioxide, water vapor, and trace minerals seep into the air, blending into the atmosphere that sustains us. These emissions, spread thinly across ages, have helped shape Earth's climate since the beginning, creating conditions for life to thrive. When we breathe, we are connected to volcanoes, their exhalations mingling with ours, part of the same endless cycle. The skies over volcanoes often hold their own calm wonders. Lenticular clouds, shaped like smooth discs, form when winds pass over volcanic peaks. From a distance, they appear like halos, glowing softly in the sun's light. Mount Fuji is often crowned with such clouds, giving it an otherworldly beauty that has inspired art and legend. These clouds are not fiery or violent, but gentle companions, part of the atmosphere's patient play above mountains of fire. Sometimes, volcanoes create phenomena that stretch across continents. The Great Eruption of Krakatoa in 1883 sent ash high into the stratosphere, scattering light around the globe. 4 years afterward, skies glowed unusually vivid, twilight lingered longer, and strange halos appeared around the moon. People everywhere saw the effects, even if they never knew the cause. The eruption itself was brief, but its calm beauty painted skies for years, a reminder that volcanic influence reaches farther than we often imagine. At night, volcanic skies reveal another kind of peace. The glow of lava, faint yet steady, lights the clouds above in shades of orange and red. From a distance, it is less a roar than a lantern, casting warmth against the stars. Sailors once guided themselves by such glows, knowing that a volcano's steady light could be seen from far across the sea. Even fire, when distant and slow, becomes a beacon of calm in the dark. Volcanoes also shape weather in smaller, quieter ways. The heat they release warms local winds, creating breezes that shift across valleys. Ash particles act as seeds for raindrops, encouraging clouds to form and rains to fall. In this way, eruptions help guide the cycles of water, linking fire and rain in patterns that sustain forests and fields. What seems destructive at first becomes, over time, a gentle influence on life below. And beyond the weather, volcanoes leave their mark on memory. People who live near them often recall skies filled with strange colors, air carrying scents of sulfur, or nights glowing faintly with distant fire. These memories pass into stories, told around hearths, painted into art, woven into culture. The sky above a volcano is not just atmosphere, it is part of human imagination, part of the way we understand our place in the world. When we reflect on volcanoes and the skies they shape, we see once again the balance at their heart. They are not only mountains of stone but artists of air, scattering light, cooling climates, painting horizons. Their eruptions may seem sudden, but their influence lingers softly for years, even centuries, carried by winds, reflected in sunsets, remembered in stories. And as their breath drifts outward, it leads us back to Earth itself, to the soils and waters shaped by ash, to the forests and fields nourished by minerals from fire. For volcanoes do not only change the skies, they enrich the ground beneath, leaving behind landscapes where life flourishes. To follow their story downward is to see the calm abundance of volcanic earth, a gift born from silence after flame. From the skies shaped by ash and light, our attention returns gently to the ground, where volcanoes leave behind another of their quiet gifts, the richness of soil and the landscapes that grow from it. Though fire may seem destructive, what it creates in the long rhythm of time is nourishment, abundance, and peace. To walk through volcanic valleys is to see life thriving where flame once flowed. Volcanic soil is among the most fertile on Earth. When lava and ash break down, they release minerals like potassium, phosphorus, and magnesium, which plants need to grow. Over years, rain and wind soften the rock, turning it into dark earth where seeds take root. Farmers living near volcanoes have long known this secret, building their lives upon the gifts of fire. The rice terraces of Java, the vineyards near Mount Etna, and the coffee farms of Central America all flourish in volcanic soil. Each harvest is a reminder that fire nourishes as much as it destroys, leaving behind calm abundance. Forests also rise in volcanic lands, covering slopes once stripped bare by eruptions. In Hawaii, rainforests now grow thickly over cooled lava fields, their roots finding purchase in the cracks of stone. Birds sing in the canopy, streams flow through moss, and the air carries the scent of flowers where once only heat and smoke lived. The return of life is patient but certain, a quiet transformation that repeats wherever volcanoes sleep. Volcanoes create entire ecosystems unique to their slopes. High-altitude plants cling to the upper reaches, adapted to the thin air and volcanic soil. Lower down, farmlands and forests spread widely, drawing strength from the enriched ground. Animals follow, grazing herds, nesting birds, and people who make their homes nearby. To live in such places is to share in the volcano's cycle, to accept its silence as greater than its fire. Water too is shaped by volcanoes. Lava flows carve valleys that guide rivers, while craters fill with rain to form lakes. Some of the world's most beautiful lakes rest in volcanic basins: Lake Toba in Indonesia, Lake Taupo in New Zealand, and Crater Lake in Oregon. Their waters are still and deep, reflecting skies and mountains in silence. These lakes, born of eruption, are now sanctuaries of calm, places where fire has given way to water and water to peace. Volcanoes also shape hot springs and mineral streams that flow gently through the land. In many cultures, these springs are seen as healing, their warmth easing body and mind. The minerals they carry, dissolved from deep stone, enrich the waters with unique qualities. To sit in such a spring is to feel Earth's warmth directly, as though the planet itself were offering rest. Across Iceland, Japan, and Central America, people gather in these waters, living traditions born from the quiet gifts of fire. Even landscapes that seem barren at first carry beauty. Lava fields, dark and sharp, stretch across Iceland and Hawaii, their surfaces broken into patterns that seem frozen in motion. Over time, moss grows in soft carpets across the stone, spreading green over black. From above, the patterns look like rivers paused mid-flow, a still record of fire's path. Such places remind us that beauty can lie in contrast, the hardness of rock softened by the patience of life returning. In some regions, volcanoes leave behind caves and lava tubes, tunnels where molten rock once flowed. These passages are now silent, filled only with echoes, their ceilings glittering faintly with minerals. To walk through them is to feel time itself slowed, as though one has entered the hidden breath of the earth. They are sanctuaries of quiet, carved by fire but resting in stillness. Volcanoes even shape the future of landscapes far away. Winds carry ash across continents, depositing minerals that enrich soils hundreds of miles from the eruption itself. Fields in distant lands receive nutrients from mountains they may never see. In this way, volcanoes are global givers, their influence spread far beyond their slopes. The gifts of volcanoes remind us of balance. Fire creates soil, soil grows forests, forests shelter life, and life continues. Valleys bloom, rivers flow, springs warm, and lakes reflect, all born from the patience of eruptions long past. To reflect on these gifts is to see that volcanoes are not only sources of fear but also foundations of life, steady presences that nurture as much as they change. And from this nurturing role, the story of volcanoes turns once again toward their larger cycles. For while they enrich and create, they are also tied to the deep movements of the earth itself. The plates shift, the mantle stirs, and volcanoes breathe as part of a planet always in motion. To follow their story deeper is to see how volcanoes connect us not just to the surface, but to the very heart of Earth. Volcanoes are more than mountains, they are expressions of the Earth's deep breath. Every eruption, every quiet slope, every steaming spring is part of a greater rhythm that connects the surface to the hidden layers far below. To understand them is to glimpse the slow machinery of the planet, moving always patient and steady, shaping land, air, and sea with cycles that stretch across ages. Beneath the crust, the mantle churns in slow convection, heated by energy left over from Earth's formation and the decay of elements deep inside. Hot rock rises, cooler rock sinks, and this endless circulation drives the movement of tectonic plates. Where plates drift apart, magma rises to fill the space, creating new crust. Where plates collide, one slides beneath the other, melting into magma that rises again. Volcanoes appear along these boundaries, marks of the planet's constant breathing. They are not accidents but natural outlets, ways for Earth to release its hidden heat. The scale of these motions is almost unimaginable. Plates move only inches each year, slower than fingernails grow, yet across millions of years they rearrange continents, open oceans, and build mountains. Volcanoes are the visible signs of this invisible dance, brief flashes of fire in a process that mostly unfolds in silence. To see them in this light is to feel the patience of the planet itself, steady, measured, unhurried. Volcanoes also connect us to the inner Earth in more direct ways. The gases they release, water vapor, carbon dioxide, sulfur, rise from depths we cannot reach. They are messages from the mantle, whispers of processes far below. Each plume, each cloud, carries with it traces of the Earth's chemistry, giving us clues about what lies beneath. To breathe near a volcano is, in a sense, to share in the Earth's exhalation, to touch its hidden breath. This connection stretches back to the earliest days of the planet. Billions of years ago, volcanic gases helped form the atmosphere that allowed life to begin. The oceans, too, may owe their origins to volcanic water vapor released over eons. In this way, every living thing carries a quiet link to volcanoes, their breath woven into ours. When we speak of volcanoes as destructive, we forget that they were also the first givers of life's essentials, shaping the world long before we arrived. Even now, they continue to shape climates and ecosystems. Volcanic islands rise in the oceans, their slopes colonized by plants and animals that drift across waves. Forests grow on volcanic soil, rivers carve valleys through cooled lava, and entire landscapes evolve from eruptions that ended long ago. To see a rainforest thriving on a volcanic island is to see life and fire intertwined, renewal born from the Earth's breath. And yet, the rhythm remains steady. Volcanoes may erupt suddenly in our eyes, but to the Earth they are only moments in a cycle billions of years old. Magma rises, pressure builds, lava flows, and then silence returns. In this silence, soils form, forests grow, rivers flow, until the cycle begins again. The balance is never broken, only shifting between fire and calm. Some volcanoes remind us of this rhythm with their constancy. Stromboli, in the Mediterranean, has erupted in small bursts for more than 2,000 years. Its glow is steady, a beacon visible at night, guiding sailors who once crossed the sea. Others, like Yellowstone, rest for hundreds of thousands of years, their vast calderas quiet, their heat expressed only in geysers and springs. Both are volcanoes, both are part of the same breath, yet each moves at its own pace, its own rhythm of silence and fire. To reflect on volcanoes is to reflect on time itself. They live on scales longer than human history, longer even than civilizations. Cities may rise and fall at their feet, forests may grow and vanish, but the volcano remains, breathing slowly. Their presence teaches patience, reminding us that change need not be rushed, that silence is as much a part of life as motion. And from this deep connection, the story of volcanoes expands once more. For just as they are linked to the Earth's mantle, they are also tied to the stars and the wider cosmos. The elements they release, carbon, oxygen, sulfur, iron, were themselves born in ancient stars, scattered through space before forming our planet. Volcanoes are the Earth recycling these elements, lifting them from deep stone into air and water, renewing them for life. In their breath, we hear echoes of the universe itself, rhythms older than the Earth. As we follow their story, we find ourselves looking not only backward into time but outward as well, to the ways volcanoes shape other worlds, and to the cosmic scale on which fire and calm exist together. From Earth's mantle to distant planets, the rhythm continues, fire rising, silence following, balance always restored. Among the many kinds of volcanoes, some are so vast that they reshape entire regions, yet they spend nearly all of their lives in silence. These are the supervolcanoes, immense systems that lie hidden beneath forests, plains, and lakes. Their eruptions, though rare, have left deep marks on the Earth. But in their long stretches of quiet, they are landscapes of peace, places where nature thrives, and people walk without thought of the fire below. Yellowstone in North America is one of the most well-known. Its caldera stretches for miles, not as a peak but as a wide, gentle basin. Visitors see meadows filled with bison, forests whispering in the wind, and rivers winding calmly through the land. The only hints of its fiery heart are the geysers and hot springs, bursts of steam, colorful pools, and quiet bubbling. These features are reminders of heat below, yet they express themselves with patience, offering beauty instead of fear. For hundreds of thousands of years, Yellowstone has rested, its silence far longer than any memory of eruption. In Indonesia lies Toba, another vast caldera, now filled by one of the largest lakes in the world. Its waters are calm, its shores lined with villages, and its surface reflects the sky like glass. The eruption that formed it happened more than 70,000 years ago, yet today it is a place of serenity. Fishermen cast their nets, children play along its banks, and forests grow in the surrounding hills. To sit beside Lake Toba is to feel the weight of time turned into calm, the echoes of fire smoothed into silence. New Zealand's Lake Taupo tells a similar story. Its basin, created by a massive eruption thousands of years ago, is now filled with clear water. The lake shimmers under sunlight, surrounded by mountains and fields. To travelers, it is not a scar but a sanctuary, a place where fire has given way to reflection. Volcanoes, even at their most powerful, leave behind beauty when their energy rests. Supervolcanoes remind us of the scale of Earth's rhythms. Their eruptions may span continents, but they are separated by tens or hundreds of thousands of years. For most of their lives, they are not mountains of fire but lands of peace. People live, farm, and wander across them without fear, trusting in the silence that stretches far longer than any eruption. To see a caldera filled with lakes and forests is to understand that patience is the true nature of these giants. Even smaller calderas tell this story. When a volcano collapses after an eruption, its crater may become a deep, still lake. Crater Lake in Oregon is one of the most striking examples, its waters pure and blue, reflecting stars at night and clouds by day. Standing on its rim, one sees a mirror of sky where once there was flame. The transformation is complete, from eruption to silence, from fire to water, from destruction to peace. In Iceland, calderas dot the landscape, many filled with moss, rivers, or meadows. They are not reminders of violence but part of the land's quiet beauty. Walkers wander their edges, birds nest in their cliffs, and streams wind through their basins. These hollows, once fiery, are now sanctuaries for life. The earth reclaims them slowly, turning fire into rest, stone into soil, silence into renewal. The patience of supervolcanoes teaches us humility. Their cycles move on scales far beyond our own, their silences lasting longer than civilizations. Entire cultures have risen and fallen during their quiet, never witnessing their fire. Yet people still live upon their slopes, building homes, growing crops, and telling stories. To them, the volcano is not a threat but a companion, steady and enduring. Science studies these giants with care, watching for tremors, measuring gases, mapping the heat below. But even as we study, the message remains the same. Silence dominates their lives, not eruption. The fire is deep, slow, and patient, and its surface expression is rare. When we think of supervolcanoes, we should not imagine constant threat but constant balance, a reminder that Earth's most powerful features are also among its most calm. These vast calderas are symbols of transformation. They remind us that endings are not truly endings but beginnings of new landscapes. What was once a fiery eruption becomes a lake of reflection, a forested valley, a meadow filled with life. The earth, in its patience, always renews, always softens, always turns fire into calm beauty. And from these wide basins, the story of volcanoes continues beneath the surface, into the tunnels and chambers they leave behind. Lava tubes, caves, and hidden passages stretch silently under the land, remnants of flows that have long since cooled. To enter them is to step into the memory of fire, now turned into silence. From supervolcanoes above to lava tubes below, the journey leads us deeper into the quiet spaces volcanoes leave behind. Beneath the slopes of volcanoes, hidden away from the light of the sky, lie silent corridors carved by fire. These are the lava tubes and caves, long hollow passages where molten rock once flowed, but where now only stillness remains. To step into one is to walk inside the memory of an eruption, surrounded not by noise but by echoing quiet. Lava tubes form when the surface of a lava flow cools and hardens while molten rock continues to move beneath. Over time, the lava drains away, leaving behind a tunnel, sometimes stretching for miles. In Hawaii, some tubes are wide enough to walk through, their ceilings arched like cathedrals. Roots dangle from above, water drips softly, and the air is cool. What was once a river of fire has become a sanctuary of silence, a reminder of how swiftly fire transforms into calm. In Iceland, lava caves cut beneath fields of moss and stone. Their walls are painted with minerals, their floors layered with centuries of stillness. Some hold ice that glitters in pale light, forming delicate sculptures in places where once heat dominated. These caves are records of contrast, fire giving way to ice, motion giving way to stillness, noise giving way to calm. To wander inside them is to feel Earth's patience made visible in stone. Japan holds lava tubes as well, such as the Narusawa Ice Cave at the base of Mount Fuji. Inside, frozen columns gleam in dim light, a cool silence beneath a mountain of fire. Pilgrims once visited these caves to feel the sacred presence of Fuji, not as eruption but as rest. Even now, the caves remind visitors that volcanoes are not only fiery peaks but also hidden sanctuaries, where quiet flows as steadily as once did lava. Some lava tubes are home to rare forms of life. In the Galapagos, insects and small creatures live only within these passages, adapted to the cool, dark world below. They remind us that even in silence, life finds a way, patient and persistent. The ecosystems of lava caves are small but resilient, thriving in spaces born of heat but preserved in calm. These underground spaces also serve as records of time. Layers of cooled rock reveal the direction of flows, the chemistry of eruptions, the rhythm of the Earth's breath. Scientists study them as natural archives, clues to how volcanoes behaved long before memory. Each wall is a page of history, written not in ink but in stone, holding stories millions of years old. Lava tubes connect us to the larger story of volcanoes as sculptors of land. Just as they form mountains above, they carve passages below, shaping not only what we see but also what lies hidden. Their presence reminds us that the earth is layered, that silence often lies beneath the surface, and that calm is part of every fiery act. For humans, lava tubes have long been shelters. In some parts of the world, ancient peoples used them as homes, storing food and water within their cool depths. In Hawaii, they served as burial sites, places of reverence and memory. To live among them was to accept the dual nature of volcanoes: fire above, peace below. These uses remind us that people have always found balance in volcanic lands, adapting to the gifts and silences they provide. Even in space exploration, lava tubes hold significance. Scientists believe that similar tunnels may exist on the Moon and Mars, carved by ancient eruptions. These could one day provide shelter for explorers, shielding them from radiation and temperature extremes. In this way, the lessons of Earth's volcanoes extend outward, offering future sanctuaries on distant worlds. The calm of lava tubes may one day cradle human footsteps beyond our planet. The beauty of these caves is not in grandeur but in subtlety. A drip of water echoing in the dark, a beam of light falling through a crack, the cool touch of stone polished by time, each detail carries stillness. To sit in such a place is to feel removed from haste, wrapped in the earth's quiet embrace. Lava tubes remind us that silence is as much a part of volcanoes as fire, that peace is not an afterthought but a natural continuation of their rhythm. From these underground passages, our journey turns outward once more, to the islands volcanoes create in oceans and lakes. Born of eruptions, these islands rise from the water, grow forests, shelter birds, and become havens of life. Just as lava tubes turn fire into silence below, volcanic islands turn fire into sanctuaries above. Their story continues the same rhythm: eruption, renewal, and the calm beauty that follows. From the silence of lava tubes beneath the earth, the story of volcanoes rises again toward the sea, where fire creates entire islands. These islands are born in eruptions that break through ocean waters, yet with time they soften into havens of green, places of life and rest. To watch an island's story unfold is to see the patience of Earth itself, transforming flame into sanctuary. The Hawaiian Islands are among the most striking examples. Each was built by volcanoes rising from a hot spot in the Pacific Ocean, one after another as the tectonic plate drifted slowly above the heat source. The youngest, Hawaii itself, still grows from Kilauea and Mauna Loa, their lava flows adding new land at the edge of the sea. Yet even here life takes hold quickly, ferns sprouting from cracks, forests spreading across cooled stone, birds nesting in cliffs that were once molten. The older islands, long since quiet, are lush with rainforests, waterfalls and valleys, their fiery origins hidden beneath layers of life. The Hawaiian chain reminds us that patience turns eruption into paradise. In the Galapagos Islands, volcanoes shaped a world unlike any other. Rising from the Pacific, these peaks became laboratories of life, where unique species evolved in isolation. Giant tortoises wander slowly across volcanic slopes, iguanas dive into the sea, and birds with blue feet and curved beaks thrive. Darwin, who visited in the 1830s, was struck by their diversity, seeing how islands born of fire could become sanctuaries of life. Today, the Galapagos stand as proof that even in remote places, fire becomes balance, creation becomes calm. Iceland tells another story of islands born from fire. In 1963, the sea floor erupted, and within weeks a new island called Surtsey rose from the waves. At first it was barren, black with ash and stone. But within years, moss and grasses grew, seabirds nested, and life began to spread. Scientists studied Surtsey closely, watching how ecosystems develop on fresh volcanic land. What they saw was not chaos but patience, the steady arrival of plants, animals, and balance. To this day, Surtsey remains protected, a living record of how fire turns to calm. Not all volcanic islands remain above water. Some are small, ephemeral, washed away by waves within years. Yet even these brief islands carry the same story: fire rising, water cooling, land appearing, and then silence. They remind us that creation does not always need permanence. Sometimes the calm lies in the act itself, the moment of birth, even if the island fades again into the sea. Volcanoes also form islands and lakes. In Nicaragua, Lake Nicaragua holds Ometepe, an island shaped by two volcanoes rising from its waters. Their peaks reflect in the calm lake, forests covering their slopes, villages spread along their shores. Life flourishes in their presence, with crops growing in fertile soil and people finding peace in the balance of fire and water. Ometepe shows us that volcanic islands are not only in oceans, they are sanctuaries wherever fire meets water. Volcanic islands carry with them the gifts of their origins. Their soils are rich, their landscapes diverse, their climates shaped by winds and seas. They often become places of renewal, where species adapt, ecosystems thrive, and people find inspiration. To walk along their beaches, to climb their peaks, to breathe their air is to experience Earth's creativity in its purest form. Each island is a chapter in the story of fire becoming calm. The beauty of these islands is matched by their rhythm. They grow slowly, lava cooling and adding to their shores. They erode just as slowly, waves breaking down their cliffs into sand. Their shapes change, their sizes shift, but their presence endures across ages. In their patience, we see the same truth as in all volcanoes, that time moves gently, balance always restored. And the story of volcanic islands does not end with Earth. Across the solar system, other worlds hold islands of fire and ice. On Titan, Saturn's largest moon, cryovolcanoes may build icy plains that spread like frozen seas. On Europa, beneath its icy crust, plumes may rise and fall, shaping hidden oceans. These distant volcanic landscapes remind us that islands of renewal are not unique to Earth, but part of a universal rhythm. From the calm of volcanic islands, the story of volcanoes leads naturally into the ecosystems they support. Forests, rivers, and species all find refuge on their slopes and soils. Building lives in the shadow of fire. To see a volcanic island is to see the meeting point of elements: fire, water, air, and life, woven together in balance. And from this meeting grows abundance, a story that flows onward into the living worlds volcanoes help create. Volcanoes do not stand alone. Around their slopes, within their valleys, and across the soils they enrich, life gathers and thrives. Forests rise where lava once cooled, rivers carve paths through ash, and animals make their homes in landscapes born of fire. To see an ecosystem shaped by a volcano is to see the Earth's rhythm made visible: destruction followed by renewal, silence followed by abundance. The forests on volcanic slopes are often among the richest in the world. In Indonesia, dense jungles spread across volcanoes like Merapi and Bromo, their roots anchored in fertile soil. Birds sing through the canopy, monkeys swing from branch to branch, and the air carries the scent of flowers and rain. Every leaf, every stream, owes its vitality to minerals released by eruptions long past. What was once flame becomes green abundance, patient and enduring. In Central America, the slopes of volcanoes are home to coffee farms that have thrived for centuries. The beans, grown in mineral-rich soil, develop unique flavors shaped by the land. Farmers speak of the volcanoes with respect, knowing their crops depend on the quiet balance beneath. Each harvest carries not only the taste of the earth but also the calm patience of the volcano itself, a partnership between fire and life. Volcanoes also shape rivers and lakes, guiding water through their valleys. In Italy, volcanic craters have become lakes where fish swim and villages rest along the shores. In Africa, the Great Rift Valley holds lakes formed by volcanic activity, their waters supporting flamingos, hippos, and countless species of fish. These waters, though born of fire, are now sanctuaries of peace, reflecting skies and nurturing life. Wildlife thrives in volcanic regions, often finding niches that exist nowhere else. The Galapagos Islands, shaped by volcanoes, host giant tortoises, marine iguanas, and birds found only there. On Hawaii's volcanic slopes, unique species of plants and insects evolved, adapted to the island's isolated environment. Volcanoes create not only landscapes but entire worlds of life, each one a reminder that fire leads not only to silence but to diversity. Humans too have built lives in these ecosystems. Villages grow on volcanic slopes, farms spread across valleys, and cultures flourish in the shadows of peaks. People draw water from volcanic springs, heat from geothermal energy, and crops from enriched soils. Their stories, myths, and traditions are woven with the presence of the volcano, each generation learning to live with its rhythm. In these communities, the volcano is not only a mountain but a companion, shaping daily life with quiet strength. Even when eruptions occur, ecosystems eventually return. In Mount St. Helens, after its eruption in 1980, forests regrew, animals returned, and lakes refilled. Scientists studying the area were astonished by how quickly life reclaimed the land. Flowers bloomed in ash fields, birds nested in fallen trees, and fish swam in lakes reshaped by fire. The cycle was clear: eruption, silence, renewal, and balance once again. This resilience teaches us something profound. Volcanoes may disrupt, but they also restore. Their soils are richer after eruptions, their valleys reshaped into new habitats, their waters refreshed. Life does not vanish, it adapts, shifts, and returns stronger. The calm that follows fire is not emptiness but renewal, a reminder that balance always emerges in time. Volcanic ecosystems also offer humans unique resources. Geothermal energy, drawn from volcanic heat, warms homes in Iceland and powers industries. Minerals from volcanic rock are used in tools, construction, and art. Even the landscapes themselves, mountains, forests, lakes, draw travelers who come to see their beauty and find rest in their silence. Volcanoes give far beyond their eruptions, offering steady gifts that sustain life in countless ways. And so, the ecosystems of volcanoes show us the full rhythm of their story. Fire shapes soil, soil nurtures forests, forests shelter animals, rivers carve valleys, and humans find a home. Every element connects, every cycle completes, and in the end, calm prevails. Volcanoes remind us that balance is not only possible but inevitable, written into the Earth's design. From these thriving ecosystems, the story of volcanoes reaches even further back into the history of the Earth itself. 4 volcanoes have not only shaped modern landscapes but also played a role in the evolution of the planet. They built continents, released gases that formed the atmosphere, and influenced climates across ages. To understand their full story, we must step into deep time, where fire and calm have always worked together to shape the world we know. Volcanoes are not only part of the world we see today, they are ancient architects, builders of continents and shapers of skies. Across the vast history of Earth, their fire has carved land, released air, and influenced climates in ways so profound that life itself would be unrecognizable without them. To reflect on their role in deep time is to feel the planet's patience stretched across billions of years, each eruption a note in an endless symphony of creation and renewal. In the earliest ages of Earth, more than 4 billion years ago, the planet was young and restless. Its surface was still forming, and volcanoes erupted constantly, releasing gases into the atmosphere. Water vapor, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen poured out, mixing into the sky. Over millions of years, these volcanic breaths created the air that would later sustain life. Even the oceans owe part of their origins to steam released from endless eruptions. The calm seas we know today are, in part, gifts of ancient fire. As continents slowly drifted and grew, volcanoes stitched them together. Chains of eruptions built islands that collided, merging into landmasses. Vast lava flows covered regions in layers of stone, hardening into plateaus and mountains. The Deccan Traps in India, for example, are the result of massive volcanic activity more than 60 million years ago, when floods of lava spread across the land. Though the eruptions themselves were fierce, the stone they left behind is now quiet, home to forests, rivers, and people. Fire, once flowing, became the bedrock of calm landscapes. Volcanoes also influenced life's great shifts. Scientists believe that certain mass extinctions were linked to enormous volcanic events, when gases cooled the climate or warmed it too quickly. Yet from each upheaval, life returned, adapted, and flourished again. The balance was never broken, it only shifted, and in the long silence afterward, new species appeared. Volcanoes, then, are not only makers of land but shapers of life's direction, their breath guiding the rhythm of evolution. One of the most fascinating gifts of volcanic activity lies in the minerals and elements it releases. Iron, sulfur, and carbon, essential to plants, animals, and people, all cycle through the earth in part because of volcanoes. Over eons, these elements have flowed from the deep mantle to the surface, enriching soils, feeding oceans, and sustaining life. Every cell in our bodies carries atoms that were once locked in stone, released into the world by fire. To think of this is to realize that volcanoes are not distant features but part of us, their patience flowing into our own lives. Even today, we walk upon continents shaped by ancient eruptions. The basalt cliffs of Ireland, the volcanic fields of Africa, the plateaus of North America, all are remnants of lava that cooled millions of years ago. The landscapes appear calm, covered with grass and trees, but beneath lies the memory of fire. The Earth's deep history is written not only in fossils and mountains, but in every stone formed by ancient flows. In the oceans too, volcanoes have left their mark. Entire chains of seamounts lie hidden beneath the waves, extinct peaks that once rose above the surface. They guide currents, shape ecosystems, and provide habitats for marine life. The Pacific Ocean alone holds thousands of such mountains, their presence silent but enduring. They are reminders that even when forgotten, the influence of volcanoes continues, steady and calm across ages. Volcanoes also shaped climates throughout history. By releasing gases, they cooled or warmed the planet, sometimes gradually, sometimes abruptly. These changes challenged life, forcing adaptation and resilience. Yet always the planet settled again into balance. The patience of Earth's systems ensured that silence followed noise, that calm followed fire. The climate we live in today is part of this rhythm, a product of countless volcanic breaths stretching back through deep time. The role of volcanoes in Earth's history reminds us that they are not enemies but foundations. They built the land we walk upon, released the air we breathe, and sustained the life we live. Without them, the earth would be barren, silent in a different way. With them, the earth became alive, a place of forests, rivers, oceans, and people. To see them in this light is to feel gratitude for their fire, which has always been more creative than destructive. And as we think of deep time, we begin to look outward beyond our planet. 4 volcanoes are not unique to Earth. They exist across the solar system, shaping Mars, Venus, Io, and even icy moons. Their story is universal, their rhythm written into the language of planets. To follow volcanoes outward is to see that the balance we know here, fire, silence, renewal, is echoed in worlds far away. The next step in their story leads us into the cosmos, where volcanoes shape not only Earth's history but the landscapes of other planets as well. The rhythm of volcanoes is not confined to Earth alone. Across the solar system, other worlds breathe with fire, their surfaces marked by eruptions, flows, and quiet calderas. To look beyond our planet is to see that volcanism is a universal expression of planetary life, a process as natural as wind or rain, shaping not only our landscapes but the landscapes of distant worlds. On Mars rises Olympus Mons, the largest volcano known in the solar system. Nearly 3 times the height of Mount Everest, its base would cover much of a country. Yet its slopes are gentle, spreading wide like a vast shield. Scientists believe it formed from lava that flowed easily, piling higher and higher across millions of years. Today it is quiet, its fiery heart long cooled, its summit resting beneath the thin Martian sky. To imagine standing on its slopes is to feel the patience of a world where fire has already passed, leaving behind only calm stone. Mars holds other volcanic features as well. Vast plains of basalt stretch across its surface, remnants of eruptions long gone. Calderas dot the land, their wide basins filled only with dust and silence. Though Mars has been quiet for millions of years, its surface tells the story of a fiery past. What remains is a planet of calm deserts, shaped by fire but resting now in stillness. Jupiter's moon Io tells a very different story. Unlike Mars, Io is alive with volcanic activity. Its surface is dotted with hundreds of volcanoes, some erupting regularly, their plumes rising miles into space. From a distance, these plumes appear as faint glows, soft bursts of light against the darkness. They are not storms but signals, reminders that beneath Io's crust tides from Jupiter's gravity stir heat, keeping the moon restless. Yet even here in constant activity the rhythm is steady. Io does not rage but breathes, its eruptions following patterns as predictable as tides. Saturn's moon Enceladus reveals another kind of volcano, one of ice rather than fire. Along its southern pole, geysers of water and vapor spray into space, shining faintly in the light. These cryovolcanoes are powered not by molten rock but by liquid water beneath an icy crust, warmed by hidden heat. The plumes fall back as snow, covering the moon in bright white, while some escape into space, feeding Saturn's rings. To see Enceladus is to see fire's rhythm expressed in ice, calm eruptions painting a frozen world. Neptune's moon Triton also holds cryovolcanoes. Dark plumes rise from its icy plains, spreading across the surface like shadows. Here too the eruptions are gentle, not fiery blasts but quiet exhalations of nitrogen and ice. In the cold reaches of the solar system, volcanoes remind us that eruption is not always heat and ash. Sometimes it is snow, vapor, and silence. Even Venus, shrouded in thick clouds, bears the marks of countless volcanoes. Its surface is covered with lava plains and volcanic mountains, though most have been dormant for millions of years. Radar images show domes, ridges, and calderas, shaped by flows long past. Venus is a planet where fire once dominated, but now the record is quiet stone, landscapes resting under a heavy sky. These worlds remind us that volcanism is not a quirk of Earth but a universal process. Where there is heat in motion within a planet or moon, volcanoes emerge. They may build the tallest mountains, release plumes of fire, or spray snow into the void. Yet everywhere the rhythm is the same: eruption, rest, renewal, and calm. The study of extraterrestrial volcanoes also teaches us about our own. By comparing Mars's long silence with Io's constant activity, or Enceladus's icy plumes with Hawaii's fiery flows, scientists learn how heat moves within planets, how surfaces change, and how life might emerge. Volcanoes are clues, offering insights not only into geology but into the possibility of life itself. Around hydrothermal vents on Earth, ecosystems thrive without sunlight, living on volcanic chemicals. If similar vents exist on Enceladus or Europa, life may be there too, hidden in quiet oceans beneath ice. To reflect on volcanoes across the solar system is to feel connection. Earth is not alone in its fiery breath. Across millions of miles, other worlds rise and fall with the same rhythms, their surfaces shaped by the same processes, their silences echoing our own. Fire, ice, and stone, all follow the same patient design, the same balance between creation and calm. And as we look outward, we also turn inward, reminded that our volcanoes are part of this larger pattern. They are not random, not chaotic, but part of a universal rhythm that stretches from our mountains to the moons of Saturn. From Olympus Mons to Stromboli, from Io to Enceladus, the story is the same. Fire rises, fire rests, and balance returns. From the vast scale of planets and moons, the journey of volcanoes draws us back to Earth once more, to the role they play in our own lives and futures. They are not only shapers of history but also guides for tomorrow, offering energy, resources, and lessons in balance. To follow their story forward is to see how volcanoes continue to shape our world, patiently, silently, and always in rhythm with time. From distant moons and icy plumes, our gaze returns home, to the volcanoes that shape our present world. They are not only memories of fire long past but living companions, influencing our daily lives in ways subtle and profound. Through the energy they release, the resources they provide, and the lessons they embody, volcanoes continue to guide humanity toward balance and resilience. One of their quiet gifts is geothermal energy. Beneath volcanic regions, heat from the earth rises close to the surface, warming water and stone. Humans have learned to harness this warmth, drawing it into homes, industries, and cities. In Iceland, geothermal power provides most of the nation's electricity and heat, turning volcanic fire into a source of comfort. Steam rising from vents drives turbines, while hot water flows through pipes to bathe towns in warmth. The process is clean, renewable, and steady, a calm partnership between people and the Earth's hidden breath. Volcanoes also provide minerals essential to modern life. Pumice, obsidian, basalt, and sulfur are among the stones and elements drawn from volcanic landscapes. Pumice is used in construction, obsidian in tools and art, basalt in roads and buildings, and sulfur in medicine and industry. These materials, once molten, now serve human hands, transformed from fire into tools of peace. Even metals like copper, gold, and silver are often found in regions shaped by volcanic activity, gifts of deep processes brought slowly to the surface. Water, too, flows from volcanoes in quiet abundance. Aquifers and springs often form around volcanic slopes, collecting rainfall in porous rock. The water that emerges is fresh, cool, and enriched with minerals. In many cultures, volcanic springs are revered as sacred, places where Earth offers life directly. To drink from such a spring is to taste the patience of stone, water filtered through layers of cooled lava, purified by time. Volcanoes influence agriculture as well. Their soils, enriched by ash, sustain crops that feed millions. Coffee from Central America, rice from Indonesia, grapes from Italy, all carry the imprint of volcanoes in their flavor and strength. Farmers who till these lands know that the volcano is both a risk and a blessing, but they trust its long silences more than its rare awakenings. Generations have passed in the shadows of these peaks, each one living from the balance between fire and calm. Culturally, volcanoes continue to inspire. Artists paint their slopes, writers describe their presence, and communities celebrate festivals in their honor. In Indonesia, offerings are still carried to the summit of Mount Merapi. In Hawaii, chants and dances tell of Pele, the goddess of creation. In Japan, climbers ascend Mount Fuji in rituals of renewal. Each tradition is a reminder that volcanoes are not only geological features but spiritual companions, woven into human identity across ages. Even their silence holds lessons. When a volcano rests for centuries, its slopes become forests, its valleys turn to fields, and people forget its fiery heart. Then, when it stirs again, the world is reminded of the planet's deeper rhythms. Scientists now study these cycles carefully, monitoring gases, measuring tremors, and mapping heat. Their work is not only about predicting eruptions but about understanding balance. How energy builds and releases, how silence follows sound, how calm always returns. The presence of volcanoes also teaches resilience. Communities that live near them know how to adapt, how to rebuild, how to find renewal after loss. In places like Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines, where a great eruption reshaped the land in 1991, forests and villages have returned, stronger and more diverse. The people carry the memory of ash and fire, but they also carry the lesson that life continues, that calm grows again even from disruption. In this way, volcanoes mirror the cycles of our own lives. Periods of intensity, moments of upheaval, are followed by rest, renewal, and growth. Just as soil becomes fertile after fire, so too do challenges enrich us, leaving behind strength and wisdom. To see volcanoes clearly is to see that balance is the natural state, that calm is the greater part of every story. Their influence even stretches into the future. As humanity seeks sustainable energy, geothermal power may play a larger role, turning volcanic heat into clean electricity for growing populations. As we explore space, lava tubes on the Moon and Mars may become homes for explorers, sheltering them as they once sheltered ancient people on Earth. The lessons of volcanoes, patience, balance, resilience, will guide us wherever we go. From their fire we take warmth, from their stones we take strength, from their soils we take food, and from their silence we take peace. Volcanoes are not only mountains but teachers, reminding us of cycles, balance, and the quiet power of renewal. And as the story of volcanoes continues, it leads us naturally toward reflection on how their rhythms are bound to the larger rhythms of Earth itself. For volcanoes are not separate from forests, oceans, skies, and people. They are threads woven into the same fabric, part of a planet that moves patiently, balancing fire with water, silence with song, and change with calm. Volcanoes are not separate from the rest of the Earth. They are part of a larger rhythm, a cycle that links fire with water, land with air, and silence with life. To reflect on them is to see how every element of the planet connects, how balance is woven into the very design of nature. In this way, volcanoes are not only mountains of stone but symbols of Earth's harmony, their stories flowing into forests, rivers, skies, and oceans alike. When fire rises, it shapes the ground. Lava cools into stone, stone weathers into soil, and soil feeds plants. Forests spread across volcanic slopes, their roots drawing strength from minerals in the earth. Birds nest in their branches, animals graze in their meadows, and people build homes in their valleys. The cycle begins with eruption, but it always ends with renewal. Fire becomes soil, soil becomes life, and life becomes balance once again. The water of Earth, too, is tied to volcanoes. Springs emerge along their slopes, lakes fill their craters, and rivers carve paths through their valleys. Some of the world's deepest and calmest lakes are volcanic in origin: Crater Lake, Lake Taupo, Lake Toba. Their waters mirror the sky, reflecting stars at night and clouds by day. To sit beside them is to feel the stillness of time, the calm of fire transformed into water. Even the oceans carry volcanic origins, their ridges built by eruptions beneath the waves. Everywhere we look, water and fire are bound together. The air above is also shaped by volcanoes. Gases released over billions of years created the atmosphere itself, filling it with the elements that sustain life. Ash and particles scatter light into sunsets, painting horizons with colors that linger in memory. Even now, the breath of volcanoes drifts into the sky, blending quietly into the winds we breathe. In every inhalation, there is a trace of Earth's fiery heart, softened by time into calm air. Volcanoes are part of the planet's climate as well. Their gases warm and cool the Earth, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically. Yet always balance returns. The Tambora eruption of 1815 cooled the world for a time, but life adapted, crops grew again and the climate settled. These rhythms remind us that disruption is only temporary, that silence follows noise and calm follows fire. The Earth itself carries the resilience of a volcano, patient, steady, and always returning to balance. The cycles of volcanoes mirror the cycles of our own lives. We, too, experience moments of intensity, times when pressure builds and change feels sudden. Yet just as volcanoes rest far longer than they erupt, so too do our lives hold more calm than turmoil. Renewal follows challenge, growth follows disruption, and balance returns. To reflect on a volcano is to see our own resilience, our own ability to turn fire into calm. Cultures around the world have long understood this connection. Myths and rituals honored volcanoes not only as sources of fire but as guardians of balance. Offerings were left at their craters, prayers spoken to their peaks, songs sung in their honor. These traditions were not born of fear but of respect, an acknowledgement that volcanoes were part of the greater cycle that sustained life. Even now, festivals and pilgrimages continue, linking people to mountains of fire with reverence and gratitude. Science, too, sees this connection. Geologists study volcanoes not only to predict eruptions but to understand Earth's deeper processes. They measure gases, map flows, and trace minerals, learning how the mantle moves, how plates shift, how climates change. Every discovery deepens the same truth, that volcanoes are not isolated, but part of a system that links the deep Earth to the surface, the past to the present, the fiery core to the living world above. And through all of this, the message of volcanoes remains clear. They are not only mountains of fire but mountains of calm. Their eruptions, though dramatic, are brief compared to their silences. Their destruction is always followed by renewal, their chaos always balanced by peace. They are symbols of Earth's resilience, reminders that balance is the true rhythm of life. From here, the story of volcanoes begins to close, not as an ending but as a reflection. We have walked their slopes, wandered their forests, gazed upon their lakes, and followed their breath into the skies. We have seen them across the Earth and across the solar system, shaping not only landscapes but time itself. And in every part of their story, we have found the same truth, that fire is always balanced by calm, that silence is greater than sound, and that renewal always follows change. As this journey nears its final chapter, the story turns one last time to reflection. What do volcanoes teach us not only about the Earth but about ourselves? What wisdom lies in their patience, their resilience, their balance? To answer this, we must listen closely to the silence between eruptions, to the calm that defines their lives, and to the harmony they weave across the world. To reflect on volcanoes is to reflect on the patience of the Earth itself. Across 20 parts, their story has taken us from fire to soil, from stone to forests, from hidden tubes beneath the ground to icy plumes in the outer solar system. Every chapter reveals the same truth. Volcanoes are not defined by chaos but by calm, not by destruction but by renewal, not by endings but by balance. They are reminders that time is longer than we imagine. An eruption may capture human attention for a year, a decade, or even a century, but in the scale of the Earth it is only a moment. Most of a volcano's life is silence. Centuries of rest, slopes covered with snow, forests growing across its flanks, rivers flowing from its valleys. To stand before a volcano is to feel time stretched beyond human measure, to realize that stillness always outweighs motion. They are teachers of resilience. Lava fields that appear barren soon host moss, grasses, and flowers. Forests regrow, rivers return, animals wander again. Communities rebuild, soils become richer, and life flourishes where once fire burned. The message is quiet but clear. No matter the disruption, renewal follows. Balance is restored, calm returns, and life continues. They are symbols of connection. Volcanoes link the surface to the deep mantle, forests to soils, rivers to valleys, skies to ash, and people to the planet. Their breath shapes air, their stone builds land, their silence shelters life. They are threads in Earth's fabric, reminders that nothing exists alone, that every element is tied to every other, that balance is woven into the design of the world. And they are guides for reflection. In their long silences, we see the value of patience. In their fertile soils, we see the power of renewal. In their rhythms of fire and calm, we see our own cycles mirrored back to us. They remind us that intensity is brief, that silence is longer, and that peace always returns. When we look to distant planets and moons, we see the same story written across the cosmos. Olympus Mons rising high on Mars, Io glowing with constant plumes, Enceladus whispering ice into space, all speak the same language of fire and calm. The rhythm is universal. Wherever worlds exist, volcanoes breathe, and wherever volcanoes breathe, balance follows. So as we close this journey, let us hold the calm of volcanoes in our thoughts. Let us remember that even the fiercest forces are mostly silent, that even the brightest fire gives way to soil, forests, lakes, and life. Let us carry their patience into our own days, knowing that our challenges too will pass, that silence will follow, and that renewal is always waiting. And if this journey has brought you peace tonight, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Earthly Explorer. Together we will continue to wander through the quiet wonders of our world, discovering the stories that soothe, the truths that calm, and the rhythms that carry us gently into rest.